Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Jennifer. Jennifer has a bomb drop of October 15th, 2023, a date of marriage of 1994. Her MLC is at home and high energy. She says, my husband had a midlife crisis about 15 years ago. He's now having another. I'm not sure I can trust and respect him anymore. He has some narcissistic traits, and he blames all the issues on me. No question, just we're doing this again. So Jennifer, first thing, it's okay. If you do not want to stand, it is okay if, like, I am not going through this crap again. It's okay. It's also okay if you choose to not do that. But you've been through this before. So I do have some questions for you. These are not questions you have to answer back to me. They're questions that you can go through and answer for yourself regarding the previous MLC. So first thing, previous MLC, how long was it? Was it shorter than the average, 3 to upwards of 7 years? If it was shorter than that, then was he yanked out the beginning of the tunnel before he had integrated those issues? Because I'm sure you've heard me say they will go through this again in 10 years. And you're at 15, so that's, yes. Well, they will have another midlife crisis, and it will be worse. So did that happen? And even if he went through, let's say, 3 to 5 year MLC, what were the repairs afterwards? What were the amends that he made? What was the therapy? Or was there none? Was it rug sweeping? Because we can go through, all of us can go through and handle it right during the MLCS standards and come through and reconcile, but we also have to handle it right at the reconciliation part. Or even if they had a 5-year MLC, they can still repeat it someday if we don't make the right repairs and get the right professional help and do the amends, not just our side of the forgiveness, but them getting what they did. If it's just rug sweeping, why would it get better? Or why would it stay better? MLC is often based on trauma, and typically, not always, but trauma in childhood. We are trained to react and respond in certain ways from the way we are brought up and from the trauma that we experience and how our parents teach us to handle that. And they might not teach us well, even when they are doing the best they can. We all work within our own capacities. And they may have had trauma, and this can create a legacy experience. So I don't want us to go and demonize others who may have contributed to traumatizing us. But our brains get hardwired sometimes. Not soft-wired, hardwired, toward reacting in certain ways. And what we can do is we can learn some new coping skills. I can learn to respond to this stimulus in this more positive way rather than reacting. And we go through and we learn, and we do a great job. But here's the problem. We are really good then, once we've learned, at being responsive, taking our skills that we have learned as an older age so they don't feel as innate, like they're hardwired in, but we had to practice and practice and practice them. We're very good at using those when the stress is low, when we have not been triggered by something. And we don't always know what that trigger is, but when we are in a low stressor situations, and by low stressor, it might be high stress in a moment, but I mean a big cloud of longitudinal stress that doesn't go away for long periods. It could happen quickly, but this longitudinal stress, it hijacks their brain and it sends them back to the hard wiring of negative coping skills. And so, all of us, not just those that I say, okay, if they come out, get yanked out the front, have a short MLC, that sort of thing, they'll repeat it in 10 years. We all have to be somewhat vigilant of each other. Because even those of us who recover beautifully, high stress situations, high stress periods. So trying to elongate the time for a period of time, stewing in those, triggering experiences. Activate the hardwiring negative coping skills any of us may have had before, and we go down that dangerous rabbit hole. Even though, sure, we've learned these better, more positive ways of responding, more positive coping skills, more functional coping skills, but the trigger activates the brain. It activates what we learned before, and that hijacks us back into those old patterns. So I want us to understand that even when we have recovered, are we ever really fully recovered? We always have the potential to stop, think, respond, and we always have the potential to get hijacked and not stop, think, respond, even when we've learned to stop, think, and respond. So, Jennifer, for you, I'm saying do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. Do what you need to do to protect your children. Do what you need to do to not just protection, but thrive in your life and to choose joy. And if that means, hey, I'm not going through this again, it's okay. If it means we have recovered before and we know what we did before, and I recognize the patterns that also over time have caused us at different moments in a struggling period and a non-struggling period, what some of the things that have triggered, or what maybe I don't recognize the triggers, but I recognize the manner in which his brain is hijacked and what his coping skills are in those moments. And if we know how to get out of them, are we still going to do that or not? It's up to you. You don't have to do it. You save yourself, save the children, do what you can, and set your boundaries. Take you back, your empowered self. He has some narcissistic traits. And that is, I know that you know this, that is common for MLC. And he may, whether he had them before MLC 15 years ago or not, he may not have released all of those. Those could be parts of the patterns. Because you are not saying, and I'm really glad you're not saying, he is narcissistic. And when I say that, I don't mean just the adjective. You're not saying he's a narcissist, as in narcissistic personality disorder, which is a fully different, we're seeing pieces of it, but to have the actual personality disorder, much, much different thing, because you're dealing with something that is all encompassing and not really, rarely recovering. It's managed and denied by that person so much. So he's going to have those narcissistic traits. You are going to, hey, this is not my fault. You're going to throw his stuff. He projects him onto you. You project back again. You don't accept it. And you don't have to argue that with him. You just walk away from it. You hang up the phone. You click. You can say that's not appropriate, click. You can say that's not true, click. Or you can just say, click. Done. He calls you back. Why'd you hang up on me? You were being inappropriate. If you would like to continue this conversation right now, because he's just called you back in the moment, maybe you're willing. But the very moment he says, but next time I won't even give you a warning. You will hear a dial tone. That's it. Or you won't hear anything, whatever. Click. Set those boundaries. Even if he doesn't let you set them verbally, you follow him. You are not going to accept his blame. And that might not have to do with what happens in the courts, but you yourself, be strong in who you are. Your kids are watching, show them that too. Okay? I'm really sorry, because it really sucks. And sometimes we have to go through this again. There isn't, even those of us who come through, there isn't a guarantee that it's not going to happen again. Okay? I hope this helps. And I will be there for every one of you in the next question.